The difference between beginner and advanced coaches. I think we've all been there. We've taken or coached a class that feels a little choppy, disjointed. We're standing around, people drift off, the new members look a little bit lost. And then we've all either coached a class if we're a experienced master coach, or we've taken a class that just flows and you don't even notice the changes and transitions. You're getting cued and coached here and there as the coach makes their way around. You might even notice them making a touch point with every athlete in class. If you start to watch, if you are a coach taking that class, and you get done, it's been a great experience, and you didn't even notice that there weren't these kind of roadblocks or those hiccups along the way, right? So there's going to be the phase of coaching where you're learning and it slows you down. You're thinking about things, and that's part of the road to mastery. The way that we can kind of wrap our head around this is by using CrossFit's 6 criteria of effective coaching. And it's going to, over time, as we create mastery, it's going to look like virtuosity, right? Straight out of the CrossFit Level 1 handbook. It looks effortless. You almost don't know what's not going wrong when you're in a great class. And this comes from stacking the skills in these 6 criteria. That's what great coaches are doing, is they're not getting caught up thinking about one, they're effortlessly blending all 6 together. So if you are in the beginner coaching stage, that's okay. We all start there, right? So we're going to be learning one skill at a time. I think most coaches start here and they get, up to the beginner to intermediate zone and kind of just live there because they don't have a clear path forward or a framework that's going to help them to continue progressing. It's just something that you can be a great, high level beginner to low level intermediate coach and run solid classes. But as you start to learn about what great classes look like, or you just might notice, a more experienced coach or the gym owner at your gym runs a class and it just feels different and you're not sure why. They might be spending a little bit too much time not remembering and then having to notice that their class flow kind of got thrown off, or they really have to think about it to keep the class on time. They might not have put in enough reps of saying cues and giving different teaching instructions. So they're nervous or just they're not as practiced with what to say. They spend a lot of time watching one athlete at a time, which is very common for coaches for a long time. It's very difficult to watch more than one athlete at a time, especially on dynamic skills. They're thinking hard before each cue. You haven't cued that exact problem as many times in the past, and it's going to take you a little bit to process that and pick out the correct cue that you want to use. And you're going to pick a cue that doesn't work more often than a coach with more experience. And you're basically walking around the room reacting. You maybe haven't thought about anticipating what cues you're going to need for the most common mistakes given the movements or the workouts. There's nothing wrong with this stage. We're all there, but you just need to know what you're experiencing and that there is, a path forward to further mastery of coaching. So if you aren't familiar with this is something that's big in the CrossFit Level 3 material, and you can obviously, get your experience as a Level 1. I highly recommend taking the CrossFit Level 2, but then if you start digging even deeper into the Level 2 material and beyond the Level 3, you'll notice how much more these things are a part of the CrossFit information and coaching resources. So teaching, seeing, correcting, group management, presence and attitude, energy and how you keep the class going, and your ability to demonstrate and, showing good reps and also showing faults. So these are the areas that we can kind of break up all of the skills into. There's the hard of seeing, correcting, demonstrating. There's the soft skills of presence, attitude, and group management that are a little bit more about the flow of class and your energy. The hard skills are you getting in there, making corrections, working with those athletes, teaching the movements to the class. So these are different types of skills. They take different things to develop. We've got what it looks, what beginner coaching, you're generally going to focus on one skill, and that's okay. That's a great place to start and a great way to keep yourself on track and keep yourself developing, because they have some skills, but it's like a video game character. You've got different stats in each of these areas. You might be great at demoing, and then you crush that demonstration. You show the good, you show the bad, but then you miss some faults because you haven't seen enough reps, and your cueing variety isn't there yet. Or you have really good strong cueing, but you get so deep with an athlete cueing them that you lose control of the room and the class. So it just it just depends on where you're at, where your skills are at. You might have great energy, but you don't have as much of that technical knowledge. Your ability to lead athletes in a whole group or an individual through progressions is not all the way there. You might be able to spot one athlete making a mistake, but then you hyper focus on that and you miss the most important common thing amongst a group of athletes, the mistake that they're making. Or you just think too long because you're hesitating, you're not ready to just jump in and give that first cue and be okay with it being wrong and then jump right on your next best cue, right? It's okay to make mistakes and tell members, that didn't work. Let's go ahead and try the next one and figure out the cue that's best for you. Advanced coaches, it's going to look different. We've been in those classes, as we said. It's seamless. The skills, these 6 criteria of effective coaching, these skills are overlapping. They're using them all at the same time. They don't just have, these advanced coaches don't just have more skills. They're blending them together. They're all happening in conjunction with each other or synergistically, and they create a coaching experience, as we said earlier, that feels fluid and effortless. This is virtuosity, right? Doing the common uncommonly well. So they, teach and manage, control the room. They're educating members without losing people or bleeding time. They see and motivate. They spot flaws. They cue athletes, but keep the energy high, keep them motivated to get better, not just tell them all the things that they're doing wrong. They correct, but keep the flow going, right? Give a quick correction, little improvement, but not enough. They make a mental note, keep the class going, remember to circle back to that athlete. They demo movements and then also watch as folks are doing, practicing, trying the movements, and they lead them through those reps. They're reading the room, they're reading their timeline and adjusting. They have the ability to get time back if they lose it, right? These are all high level skills and they're working in conjunction with each other. It's a very difficult thing to build up to, but it can be done over time with enough practice and persistence. Why it looks effortless to the untrained eye or the newer or beginner coach, right? Members just think that great coaches were naturally good. That's not true. I remember when I started off coaching, I had huge holes in my games. Just like we were saying, video game character, there were things I was better at, there were things I was worse at. It's the result of work done outside of class, that invisible work over hours of learning, coaching classes, coaching individuals, thinking about how it went, thinking about how things can be together, things can be better, and seeking out answers, right? Just accumulating those 10,000 hours, 10,000 reps, right? Recognizing patterns in other coaches that I was watching, my own coaching, and then being able to predict what's going to happen in the classes that I'm teaching. Just getting better with timing. I was very bad with timing when I started. I would get way too deep one-on-one with an athlete because I cared so much, but I would totally blow the class over on time. Confidence under pressure, right? You planned in your head for 12 people to show up. Next thing you know, there's 22. How are you going to handle that bigger class? And then the decision making, it almost becomes automatic because you've done it before. You've made so many decisions before. You don't second guess yourself. And when you do make a decision and it goes wrong, you quickly adapt and you have a plan B and a plan C and you're ready to go. It looks effortless because all of these skills are deeply trained and ingrained, not because they're just some sort of natural, amazing coach. So the skill stacking, how these things all work together, right? You're scaling an athlete to keep safety high. You're watching their movement quality, again, to keep safety high. It may require you to scale. You go cue folks for depth and posture. We want to train full range of motion, help these people improve their posture in the movements to keep them safe and improve their function outside of the class. So that's going to also maybe challenge us in managing our class pace. We can't go too deep with this. We also need to keep the energy high and encourage effort, right? So this wheel just keeps spinning and we need to do these things, but we need to be cognizant of other things in the back of our head. That's what makes running a smooth and effective class so difficult, is we have to keep all these things in mind and manage them in conjunction in real time. So how does a coach level up? How do we go from that beginner to intermediate phase? It's not, just magic, and it can be to coach more classes because you just need to make more mistakes, right? Just like when you're teaching a brand new athlete to move with a PVC pipe, your mechanics, consistency, then intensity. You need to learn the skill, you need to be able to consistently coach that skill, and then you can ramp up the intensity, which is blending skills, coaching more advanced things, coaching more classes, whatever it may be. Seek feedback. Video yourself, find a mentor to review your video or give you feedback about your coaching. It might be the head coach at your gym, it might be the gym owner. You may have to go outside the walls of the gym. It just depends on where it's at. Take a level 2. That's a way to get feedback as well. The level 4 is also feedback based. Practice one skill intentionally. Pick one skill for the week or for your classes for the day and really hone in on that one, and then keep rotating through the skills until you bring up the ones that you need the most work on. Review your mistakes, reflect on what, did the class fall apart? Did you lose total control? Was it low energy? What happened? Think about how you could fix that and implement it in your next class. And then study other coaches, CrossFit's YouTube channel and plenty of other high-end coaching pages have videos of very masterful coaches teaching full classes. Observe, absorb, steal, right? The best artists steal nearly everything. So great coaching, just to kind of sum it up, it's built. It's not just born. It's not something that you're just, naturally good at. People are going to start from different places, of course, based on their life experience and personality. But if you work on each criteria, you build awareness, expand your vocabulary, both teaching and cueing, develop the individual skills, then you can start to blend them together, run those 6 effective criteria in unison, respond automatically and not get slowed up making decisions, and make it look effortless. Become a coach who shows virtuosity in their coaching. And it's something that, don't rush it, right? Own the fundamentals, fall in love with the process. You have to be hungry for learning and implementing, and you have to be hungry to fail and make mistakes so you can learn from them and then fail forward in your coaching career. So that's my best advice, how to go from a beginner, unaware coach to eventually a virtuous master CrossFit coach.